Okay, so I recently recorded a video where we talked about why you should not judge a book by its cover when it comes to the zoning. So why you shouldn't make assumptions about what you can do from a land use perspective, a minimum lot size perspective, a height perspective, etc., based on what you can see at street view level. Now, today I kind of wanted to continue that whole thing, and I wanted to talk about why you should not make assumptions about what the existing use is on a property based on what you can see at street view level. So more specifically, when is a dwelling house really a dwelling house? And when is it actually a dual occupancy or a multiple dwelling, aka a unit? Now, before we dive behind the computer, I want to kind of explain or cover off why you should care about this, because naturally you're going to be like, who gives a damn? Why should I care? So first and foremost, the rules are totally different depending on the existing use. So if it's a dwelling house, you're dealing with totally different exemptions when compared to a dual occupancy or a multiple dwelling, different acceptable outcomes, different performance criteria in terms of setbacks, site cover, deep planting, like the list goes on and on and on. So you can get a totally different outcome on a property based on what that existing use is. Next, you've got totally different costs. So if you're dealing with a house extension, it could be as little as $715 for council. Whereas if you're dealing with a dual occupancy or unit, you're starting more at that $6,500 range just for council's fees. Timeframes are different. Like if you're talking about a dwelling house extension, you could potentially go through Risk Smart, get it out in a matter of a few weeks. Whereas if you're dealing with a unit extension, you could start to get up to 4, 5, 6+ months in council. Consent just goes on and on and on. But consent, if you're doing a dwelling house extension, you only need your own consent. Whereas if you're doing an extension to a dual occupancy or a multiple dwelling, you need to start to involve the body corporate, the other owners, all of that sort of stuff. Advertising. You normally don't need advertising when it comes to a dwelling house. You do often need advertising when it comes to an extension to a multiple dwelling. Basically, the moral of the story is it is a totally different game that you are playing and you are dealing with depending on the existing use. So it's kind of important to work out what that existing use is at the very start. And as I will hopefully demonstrate through today's video, why you can't make assumptions, why you do need to check it each and every time. So what we're going to do is I'm going to jump behind the computer, I'm going to share a few examples of what these things look like, and then I'm going to give you 4 tips on how to spot these things out in the wild. So let's jump behind the computer and let's do this. Okay, so first things first, I need to make it clear that I haven't actually fact-checked any of the examples that I'm going to share with you here today. So I haven't gone into development and I haven't spoken to council to actually confirm that these are dual occupancies or multiple dwellings and that there isn't some sort of subsequent application or some non-standard history there that changes the base assumptions. For the purpose of today, they're just ringing alarm bells to say that they may not be dwelling houses, they may more likely be dual occupancies or multiple dwellings. So just keep that in mind. So first things first, what do these things look like? Well, I've got 3 examples for you here. In this example here, we are looking at 2 structures which I'm sure you would agree look like both pre-1947 detached dwellings. Same thing, 2 structures, pre-1947 detached dwellings, 2 structures, pre-1947 detached dwellings. From the air, these things look again like pre-1947 detached dwellings. Again, pre-47 detached dwellings. Again, pre-47 detached dwellings. Like to the outside world, you look at these things and you go, yep, that's a dwelling house. That is not a dual occupancy or a unit. Like I said, all of these examples here ring the alarm bells. They're ticking off those, what's the word I used before? Tips and tricks. They're ringing the alarm bells, let's just say, that they could be an alternate use. So what is the first tip for spotting these things? Well, the very first thing is if the client or the homeowner talks about the fact that they have a body corporate or they pay body corporate fees, that is an instant alarm bell to say you're not dealing with a dwelling house here. You're more likely dealing with a dual occupancy or a multiple dwelling. Now, I just got a pop-up that's interrupting. Hope that this is still recording. Let's keep going. So yeah, the first thing is the body corporate, but you cannot rely on that all the time. I did have a situation once where the client actually posed that question because I saw the other sign sort of jumping out at me on this property. And I went, I actually don't think this is a dwelling house. Do you pay body corporate fees? And they're like, no, I've never paid body corporate fees. Long story short, there was a massive stuff up at the conveyancing stage. It hadn't been picked up. It was an absolute nightmare, but turned out they should have been paying body corporate fees because there was a body corporate set up over the property. So yeah, don't always rely on the body corporate check because it doesn't always work. The next check that you need to go for, though, is to look for common property. So sometimes that common property, that shared asset sort of arrangement, is very obvious. It's very in your face. So in this example here, we've got the whole driveway is common property. It's, like I said, in your face. You can't miss it. Sometimes it's not so obvious. So in this example here, we've got a little slither of land. If you were to look at that at street view level, you wouldn't even notice that. The fence is probably sitting smack bang in the middle there, or the fence is off center and running down there, like you would not even know it existed. Sometimes it's a little small slither like this, like even smaller. Sometimes it's even smaller, like this one up here. So yeah, sometimes you really need to hunt for them and you may miss them. So again, you can't rely on this just as the only way of spotting these things. Sometimes even, it's not a slither, it can be an itty bitty little square. So that you'll find might cover like a water meter, or it could cover like a letterbox or something like that, which again, you're not going to notice when you're driving down the street looking at these things. Next thing to look for is a unit number. But again, common theme here, you can't always just rely on the unit number. So in this scenario here, 3/53, but in this situation over here, just number 30. I know this example over here is a dual occupancy because I was involved in this site specifically, and I know that it is therefore not a dwelling house, but it does not have any unit numbers, so there's no obvious signs there in terms of numbering. The only way to date that I wouldn't say guarantee, because it's not a guarantee, I've never actually properly fact-checked this, but the almost foolproof way to spot these things is to look for a GTP number. So instead of having an RP number or an SP number, we've got the GTP reference there, the group title plan. If you spot that, that is a giveaway that you're dealing with a dual occupancy or a multiple dwelling. So like I said at the beginning, why do you care about this? Because it totally changes the game in terms of rules, costs, timeframes, all of that fun stuff. How do you spot them? 4 ways. Ask if there's a body corporate, look for common property, look for your unit numbers. I had to think about that for a second. If that all fails, go to the GTP, and hopefully that helps you identify these things. And then if you see them, like I said at the beginning, it's not 100% guaranteed, then it's just a sign or alarm bell to go, don't charge ahead just assuming you've got a dwelling house here. Let's dig a bit deeper. Let's work out exactly what we're dealing with here, and then let's move forward. And just a side comment, I just thought of something else I should probably include here. Why did they create these? Back in, I can't remember whether it was the 70s, 80s. I don't think it was as late as the 90s. I think it was more 80s. Back in the 80s, there was this little loophole in the planning scheme that helped you get around lot size requirements from a subdivision perspective if you did it this way. So that's why we see so many of these popping up around the city, especially in those inner city areas. So yeah, I think that covers off everything I want to talk about today. As I always like to say, until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got 3. Number 1, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site-specific. You would be a silly billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly billy. Number 2, Brisbane Town Planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number 3, what was my number 3? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all.